left 0.6, impact, left 0.5. There it is.
I know some of you out there in the audience are absolutely going to agree with me on today's video because some of my friends told me this and some of you out there in the audience told me this, but I have been absolutely going down the rabbit hole of more precision or long range shooting, either with bolt guns or scoped carbines, to the point, dare I say, I'm slightly addicted to it. But it has just been absolutely one of the most reinvigorating and fun things that I've done in a long time because it's challenging. It's fun. There's a lot of knowledge you have to take into. So it's like a goal. It's been a long time goal of mine to do that. And today specifically, we're going to be talking about Aero Precision. Now, you probably have heard of them when it comes to the AR stuff because they make a lot of really high quality parts at a price you can actually afford. But they also do a lot of OEMing, or they make receivers and other parts for a lot of other companies that are relabeled with a different name. So Stag is one of those instances when they actually own Stag now. But they also make some absolutely amazing bolt guns now, the Solus series of rifles. And I've got a couple we're going to talk about today because they've got something, whether you are a match precision shooter or whether you are looking for a hunting rig. And we're also going to talk about how to have both for a lot less money. So we're going to be taking a look at the big chassis version today. And I know the optic is not on this one. I had to give that loophole back and I wanted one so bad that I have one on order. And we're also going to be talking about the stocked version right here, which is probably one of the sexiest camo patterns out there that I know of right now. And of course, talk about the bits and pieces that are on both of these. As most of you know, whether you're a hunter or a precision shooter, ammo is extremely important. So I've got to give a huge shout to Sierra and Barnes. They supplied most of the ammunition, if not just about every piece of it, except for one box that I bought myself for the testing on both of these rifles. And I've just had amazing luck with the Sierra and the Barnes ammunition, whether it was a bolt gun or a gas gun. So if you're looking for stuff like that, I'm going to have a lot of information over at the parts list for you. It'll be the first link in the description. And if you're watching this on a TV, which many of you out there are, I'm going to put a little QR code up here for you so you can kind of pause the video, scan that should you be interested. But huge shout to them. Then this entire video is actually brought to you by my friends over at Blue Alpha Gear. They make some of the nicest stuff out there in the game when it comes to your first line. And those are going to be your battle belts or your EDC belts. They've got fanny packs, a ton of good stuff going on over there. US made, US sourced, right out there in Georgia. And they are just absolutely awesome people. If you are in need of a belt, make sure you check out my friends at Blue Alpha Gear. Let's start off today with some hot action. And no, not the hot action you're thinking about in a strip club. I'm talking about the action of the Solus from Aero Precision because they've got a few different versions. They have the standard action itself, or you can buy a barreled action, or you can buy the complete rifle. And then within those actions, they do have different calibers. So they have a lightweight version, which is going to have a split rail across the top. They're going to have a full railed version. They have a spiral fluted bolt and then a standard bolt version as well. They're going to have a little bit of a different weight, and they're going to have the same 20 MOA integrated onto that rail, integrated onto the action because it's all one piece. So even though this is based on the Remington 700 action, you don't need to screw a rail on the top of it. It comes machined out of the same piece. As far as the rest of the action, it will have an integrated recoil lug, which is what you're going to want because you can buy this as its own action or a barreled action and put it in whatever stock or receiver or chassis you want, as long as it's meant for a Remington 700 short action. You get a Magnum size ejection port, and it can take cartridges up to 3 inches in overall length, so you will be able to get a Magnum bolt face as well. It will be compatible with AICS box magazines and AIAW detachable magazines. And of course, it's going to be able to use your standard Remington 700 trigger without the bolt lock on it. Now the bolt features here, it's a 60-degree throw. It is one of the smoothest off-the-shelf actions I have felt in a very long time. It's a 3-lug interchangeable head bolt there, so you can change out from caliber to caliber with the same action. You've got dual ejectors on it, and it is cock on lift for the bolt design. Now, what exactly does cock on lift mean? So if you're unfamiliar with Remington 700s or how this system works, basically you don't have to run the bolt the entire way to cock the trigger if you're doing testing or anything like that, or install, double checking all that. So if we put this on fire and pull the trigger, all you have to do is lift, push it back down, and it gives you another pull right there. So I know that may be new to some of you coming from different platforms or something, but that's how that will work in this design. The receiver body is 416 stainless steel. The bolt is 17.4 stainless steel, and the firing pin is S7 tool steel. All of the good things you are looking for. As far as compatibility for this action, it takes your Savage small shank with your barrel nut design in there. Those pre-fits are out there. You can buy a ton of different ones from a ton of different companies. And again, I will have all that information at the build list for you, but let's talk about the center section of the actual chassis right here and what you're gonna get from it and what options this thing is gonna have should you choose to go with the chassis version. This chassis, like the Action, is compatible with your Remington 700 short actions. You have a V-block bedding surface to ensure that consistent lockup among all the different manufacturers' actions out there that you're looking for. Ambidextrous magazine catch. It's adjustable as well to accommodate for that little bit of difference that seems to be in those magazines. Adjustable thumb rest. It is compatible with standard AR grips if they are tangless, and the full chassis is machined from 7075 T6 aluminum forgings. Now the fore end out there, it's ARCA. You got M-LOK on the 3, 6, and 9 for all of your options. You got 6 integrated QD sling sockets in there. This is compatible with Aero Precision's optimal night vision bridge, which I have on this one, and a bipod spigot if you want to get that bipod even further out. And this can accommodate up to 1¼ inch barrel diameters. Now out back on the stock, you get a 7-position adjustable length of pull, variable positions on that cheek comb for the height, adjustable cant on the recoil pad via set screws in there, so it's not a quick version, you gotta like take the screws out, and an included bag rider on the bottom, which is very, very nice. Now, say you don't want to get the chassis version and you want to go with the stock version like this, which again, my favorite color of camo out there right now. It's going to be the same action, but when it comes to that stock, you're going to get a couple of different camouflage patterns you could choose from. It is 100% carbon fiber. It's going to have aluminum pillars installed in it, an adjustable comb height, a standard length of pull of 13,675, DBM bottom metal in there, and 3 swivel studs. So you can have a swivel stud bipod on there and still run a sling should that be your thing. There's also an option to have a KRG chassis if you want to buy that one, which is pretty slick as well. I don't personally own that one or have one, so I can't show it to you. I'll throw a picture up here for you, but that is definitely a well-proven and a very nice stock or kind of minimalistic chassis design. I have a KRG Whiskey 3, and I can tell you that thing is absolutely top-notch, but it is extremely expensive. I did test a couple of optics out there. The Leupold Mark IV 6-24 was on this chassis version. And then I tested the Trijicon 10 mile right here on the stock version. I've got a full review on that one. It's up on the channel if you're interested. Both of those were supplied by Optics Planet for testing for these videos and everything. Huge thank you to Optic Planet. They've been a big supporter of the channel. If you're interested in anything from them, I'll have some information at the build list, maybe a code that'll help you out a little bit. But the Mark IV I had to let go back with my buddy, and I liked it so much I'm gonna be ordering one. That 6-24, that new Mark IV was absolutely fantastic out on the range. And it's like almost every bit of a Mark V, but for a lot less money. So if you've been kind of waiting for a Leupold, again, huge thanks to Optics Planet for letting me use that thing. That thing is absolutely sick, and I'm ordering one myself because I want it to live on the chassis version right here. Now, is it worth it? And I want to talk about this right now because I think it's very important that you know the prices of these things before we get into the range testing and my personal opinions on them, because price when it comes to stuff like this is very different than a polymer pistol, right? So these things range in price, and I wrote this down so I wouldn't get it wrong, anywhere from $1,800 to $2,500 depending on the caliber, what stock you got on there, what chassis you got, the barrel. All that stuff comes in play. The lightweight action, the regular action, you can get barreled action. Like I said, you can get all these things differently. So the price structure can vary, but like I said, there's also a way that you can kind of not get 2 for 1, but get 2 for a lot less. And I'm going to say this up front is if it's me buying a rifle, I absolutely think they're worth it, especially after all the long range stuff that I've done, all the stuff that I've got to test recently. The actions on these things are just absolutely amazing. They're phenomenal. And for the money, it's really tough to beat because take an impact barreled action, which is going to run you right around $2,300. And then you still have to go out and buy a chassis or a stock or whatever you want. So say you buy the Aero chassis and you put an impact barreled action in there, you're already over $3,000. So for the fact that you can get this right out of the box the way it's rigged up, I think the price is really exceptional. Now, let's talk about how you get, more for less, right? So in my opinion, if you're not only a hunter, but you like to shoot matches rather than, buy two different rifles, buy the hunting stocked version and then buy the Aero chassis, and you can just swap that thing out back and forth. You don't have to re-zero your optic. You don't have to buy another optic. It stays on the action and you're just gonna be good to go. Set the chassis up for you, set the stock up for you, use the stock for hunting and use the chassis for the competitions. And it's gonna save you a ton of money in the long run, both on the optic, but not having to have two different rifles. You just have a different stock or chassis, whichever you prefer. Now, talking about the range testing, of course, we did quick zeros on these things with both of the optics that we ran out there, the Loophole and the Trijicon. And I can tell you, they are they're sub MOA. There's no way around that. You can not be a great shot and get sub MOA with these things. Obviously, you have to do your job, but you can get the job done here. Now, I did a bunch of work with my buddy from Sidewinder Concepts, and we went from 0 to 1,000 yards in like 4 or 5 shots, right? It was pretty simple with these things. Even in some insane Mirage that I'll show here, this thing prints sub MOA. So shooting out here in Arizona in the heat, the Mirage is just absolutely ridiculous on that target and still manages to put down like half MOA groups. So we ran this thing after that quick zero from 480, 545, 610, 670, and 950 plus yards out there. Hands down, the chassis version is absolutely like cheating, okay? It's heavy, there's some weight there. We did it from the tripod, we did it from prone, we did some different shooting from barricades and stuff out there. Unfortunately, I didn't film that because we were having fun, but the thing is just an absolute hammer when it comes to the range. And it's just hard to mess up, right? Because it's got the weight to it. It's very easy and very forgiving, especially in the 6.5 Creedmoor. Now, the stocked version, even though it is lightweight, it's carbon fiber, that thing is no joke. And that 6.5 PRC, you can feel it in your soul when it slaps at 1,000 yards. When it hits that plate, it lets the entire valley know that you hit that plate. So that 6.5 PRC is an absolute crusher. Even in the lightweight stock version, it's still really hard to miss as long as you have some basic skills and you're doing your job. From round 1 to however many boxes I went through, because I think I've got like just about 100 rounds through each of these from all the testing over the past several months. And I know that does not sound like a lot to you that shoot like gas guns and stuff, but when it comes to precision bolt gun ammunition, the stuff is very expensive. So anywhere from like 40 to 75 or more dollars a box of 20. So if you do the quick math on just 100 rounds, that's a lot of money in ammunition. Again, thank you to Barnes and Sierra. I did fire some Hornet A match through here as well. It liked all of it on both accounts here, but your barrel and your gun is going to tell you a little bit of a different story. So you may have a different experience with one round over another based on weight or powder load or your barrel or just one little different thing. So you've always got to test a couple of different loads. Me personally, the past several months, I've had a great experience with Barnes and Sierra. They do help the channel out with ammunition. It was me that approached them after experiencing their ammunition because it just wasn't getting any better than that from anything that I was trying to maybe save a little bit of money on. So I figured why not get some help from them. Every part of the rifle just felt quality. Everything from the smoothness of the action, both in the chassis and the stock version. That adjustable trigger tech trigger in there was super crisp, super clean, and very easy to adjust to the end user liking. You can go as heavy as you want or you can go as light as you want within the spec that that trigger is capable of. Ultimately, you want that at a nice consistent break pull weight that you're comfortable with. But if you go a little bit lighter, as long as you're comfortable with that, you're probably going to print a little bit better of a group. I ran these suppressed and unsuppressed with an AB A10 suppressor on there, which gave me very little zero shift to the point where I actually used the same calls and dope with and without the suppressor at 950 to 1,000 yards, and I still hit the target. So there was
Impact center.
almost no shift when it came to that suppressor.
You
So
can see it's shaking
again, that's one
just,
of those things that's going to differ from
forward and
brand to
backwards.
brand to connection type, because I did run direct thread, I did run a QD on another one. So
Same
your
thing.
experience may vary on that, but I was able to
Again.
use the same call, same dope, except for the wind was a little bit different, obviously, but the elevation was good to go. Running that suppressor on there.
Nice.
Again, that's something you as an end user are going to have to test and figure
Yeah,
out
that
for
plate didn't
yourself.
shake left or right at all in those last 3 impacts. They're all dead center. Impact. You should do a 5-shot group at 1,000, so you can tell all those haters to shut up. Yep, there you go.
Now, I know someone's going to ask out there, do I recommend them or do I think this is the way to go? 100%. If these are within your budget, you're not going to find anything better for that amount of money. And I can promise you this, they're definitely not going to get any cheaper. Do I have a favorite? 100%. The chassis version is absolute cheating. It makes it so easy out there because of the weight, how solid it is. You get comfortable behind it. It's completely adjusted to you once you get it adjusted to you. And the thing overall just performs. Again, you can get them in different calibers, 308, 6mm, 6.5, 6.5 PRC, and you can kind of get the 2-for-1 thing if you buy the action or the barreled action or the stock version and then buy the chassis, or the chassis version by the stock. Whatever you want to do, whichever version you want to get, you can have both for the cost of a lot less. And again, you're saving money buying these things right out of the box, because I have a custom built action with a custom Criterion barrel in a KRG Whiskey 3 chassis, and I can tell you right now that gun was easily $1,500 more than these, but I just wanted it. It was my buddy's company, he owned it, he built the action, so I really wanted one. They are big King of 2 Miles guys. I think Dylan Aero actually owns that company now. That's their precision rifle company. That was my buddy's old company. So I wanted that because it had his brand on it. But whichever one you choose is completely up to you, but I really think that you'd be happy with either if getting into long range or precision shooting is your thing. Make sure you check out my buddy Adrian over at Sidewinder Concepts. If you are looking for training, whether it's scoped carbine, bolt gun, you're looking to get into competition, I don't think you're gonna find a better instructor out there. I've been to multiple other places. They're very well known for long range classes, and he was able to make the information consumable in a way that I have yet to see other instructors do, and get every single one of his students, even people that were carrying things as short as like 12.5 inches out to 1,000 yards on an AR style build. That's pretty exceptional for somebody who's never taken a long range class before. So if you're looking for training, check Adrian from Sidewinder Concepts out. He's got his YouTube channel up. Make sure you subscribe to mine, subscribe to him. If you stay ready, you ain't got to get ready. I'll see you all in the next one.